What's up, fight fans? Welcome to Mr. Mustache MMA News. Today, I want to discuss this Saturday's fight between Charles Radtke versus Francisco Prado, UFC Miami, UFC 327. But guys, before we get into it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to continue getting more MMA content by yours truly. Help the channel grow. All right, guys, we got a fun the entire card in itself is stacked, right? And starting it off on the early prelims, we got a fire-ass welterweight matchup. Charles Chuck Buffalo Radtke take on Francisco Prado, who's definitely trying to get a much needed victory. The young 24-year-old, you know, at one point rising prospect, former lightweight, ran into a little bit of weight issues. He's built like a brick shit house. It's kind of sucks because he's a bit of a tweener, right? He's lost 4 out of his last 5 fights, and a lot of it has to do with his gas tank. His last fight, Nikolai Veretennikov, yeah, it was a split decision, but I thought, he unanimously lost that fight where he looks really good early on. He's very strong, good grappling. He's got, all of his wins, all of his 12 victories are by stoppage, 6 knockouts, 6 submissions, and his 4 losses are by decision. It's more of just he kind of just he's not built to last, right? Like he just tends to gas out, and he had the issues at lightweight, and when he kind of went up to welterweight, they've persisted. And until he kind of figures it out, he hasn't really had easy competition either. I mean, look at what you want with the record of Nikolai Veretennikov. He's a tough motherfucker. Lost to Jake Matthews, also a tough motherfucker, a seasoned veteran in the UFC, right? His lone victory on his last 5 fights is Otman Zaitar, who, hate to say fraud checked, but that is a guy who at one point, very highly regarded, but has since, he's been chinned on, a couple different occasions. You know, the win over, the loss over Daniel Zellhuber doesn't really age well. And you have Charles Radtke, who he's a fucking dog, win or lose. He's more of a natural welterweight too. I think he's going to be more physical. I think that he's not, yeah, his 2 losses are, to some really good opponents of Mike Malott and Carlos Prates. Had a really nice knockout victory over Matthew Semmelsberger. He's coming off of a nice submission victory over Daniel Funza, but I think Charles Radtke, I think he's just more well-rounded. I think that he's going to make this a more gritty fight. I think that he's going to be able to test the gas tank of Francisco Prado in this fight. So where I think if Charles doesn't get clipped early on, I don't think he's going to get subbed, but I think that if his chin doesn't get clipped in the first 5 minutes, I just see Charles's pressure being put on Francisco Prado, who I think is just going to be a little too undersized, and I just don't think he's just going to have the gas tank to last. And I see a later, I don't know if he's going to get the submission for Charles Radtke, but I think as this fight goes on, we're just going to see him pull away with the victory, right? Just through pressure, grit, heart, will, determination, all those things. I think Charles Radtke has all of those attributes, as to where I think Francisco Prado is more of an athlete. Well, he is a fighter. I just think his physicality kind of is like his own detriment, his own, what makes him so good is kind of what also kind of leads to his downfall. Kind of the best way that I can describe that. But guys, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this fight. Who do you guys have? Charles Radtke, Francisco Prado? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this fight. Can't wait for it this weekend, but that's going to do it for today, guys. Mr. Mustache, MMA News out. Let's fucking go, fight fans.